time for another Power Play show with Coach Frenchy, Andrew Lepage, in our tap, and Michael DiVellano. It's time, Power Play show. Yes, it is. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks to join us tonight on the Tuesday, June 28, 2022. This is your co-host, Coach Frenchy, directly for the beautiful Sunshine State in Florida. Hopefully an amazing, great day, and you're ready to rock and roll for the next, maybe the 90 to 2 hours. Another great Power Play show. We have a special guest tonight, Mr. Christopher from the FFM, a big fan of the Flowers, going to join us for the first time at the Hockey Nation Live show. Of course, Mr. Enart Tab, the co-host of the warm-up show, also Monday to Friday, is going to be with us tonight. And we have many other people going, maybe possible. Michael DiVellano is going to join us a bit later during the night, so I can wait to see if Michael is available for us. We have a few people already in the house tonight. We welcome Mr. Blackhawks 97. He is with us tonight directly from Illinois, Chicago. We have already two moderators of the Hockey Nation show in the chat, Mr. DANY T, the captain of the Hockey Nation show, and of course, Jose Duarte of the upstate New York. Welcome. Miss Kelly.
You are awesome.
Directly from Ontario, back in the house. Welcome back. The biggest supporter of the Hockey Nation show. 2 years ago, he was one of the only one with us at the beginning of when we start, Mr. NHL Hockey News report directly from Connecticut. From Utah, number one fans of the Los Angeles King, Mr. Ron with Kings 20. From Colorado, number one fans of the champion team, the Colorado Avalanche, Mr. John D. Back in the house tonight. And we have Mr. Pat Monkey, the the Monkey Kid. He is back with us tonight. Pat Monkey just started a new channel. We're going to maybe talk to him a little bit later during the night. It's already from Colorado Avalanche. Another big fan of the Avalanche, Mr. Steve G, is in the house tonight. Hey, Michael Frederick from Boca Raton, number one fan of the Flowers, is with us tonight. Michael, welcome. From Sweden or from Finland, we never know, but we know he's with us when he can. Welcome back, Mr. Nicholas. Thanks to be with the Hockey Nation Live show. Here we go, Mr. The Backyards Man of the FFM 93 is on the show. Welcome, Mr. Backyards Man. Glad to see you with us. From Georgia, number one for the Tampa Bay Lightning, champion the last two seasons of the NHL Stanley Cup, Mr. ALEXANDRE Weather is with us. Supporter and a member of the Hockey Nation show, Mr. Roger Delaney. Welcome back, Roger. And Mr. Adam Berger, another moderator, just say hi directly from Vegas, insider of the Vegas Golden Knight of the Hockey Nation show. Mr. Adam, thanks to stop by. Don't forget to click on the likes. Here we go. We go through this very quickly. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. If you have any question, please put the letter Q in front of your question. We're going to answer this during the show. For sure, and we're going to give you the best we know for analysis about hockey. But first of all, we're going to welcome Mr. Christopher and our co-host, Mr. Enart Tab, in the green room waiting for me to join. Here we go. They are back in the house. Mr. Christopher, welcome for the first time in the Hockey Nation Live show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate you guys reaching out. It's good to be here.
You're welcome. Glad you take your time to be with us. And of course, we know that Bob Gainey, I call Bob Gainey on the far side of me, Mr. Inartap, the co-host of the Hockey National Show. He does he wear all the hats, so we know what everybody knows him very perfectly. Christopher, first of all, we're going to start this. The first 5 minutes about you. Just kidding. It's about you, bio. Tell us a little bit more who you are, how you become a fan for Flyers, where are you born, and where do you get your passion about the hockey?
Yeah, so I was actually born and raised in Northeast Philadelphia. Still live here now. I'm about 30 minutes from the stadiums down in South Philly, so not too far. Yeah, I mean, look, I kind of got my love from the Flyers when it started when I was a kid. My dad was always into hockey. I was, more into baseball, kind of a 1A, 1B kind of thing. And also one of my friends from middle school, really big into the Flyers when we were younger. And one time came over, put the game on. It was an afternoon game. We were watching it on a Saturday. And that was it. I was hooked ever since. And that was actually the last lockout season. And then I was just telling you guys before we started, kind of getting into it with the passion for covering the team was in 2019. I got an offer to do a podcast. Did that for a couple years, kind of was growing at the same time. And then I kind of really developed the passion over the years. And, I've kind of taken it pretty far for right now with everything that's kind of going on with the team. And, just being able to kind of grow at the same time and be able to do it and, to have a passion for it's really fun. And again, I think what you guys are doing is great. And, bringing everybody together, I think it's awesome. And, starting when you're younger and you kind of get into it and you see the development over the years and you meet more people and all this different stuff. So again, I really do appreciate you guys reaching out. I thought it was awesome. And, again, I just wanted to say thank you again, because it was awesome for you guys to reach out.
You're welcome anytime, my friend. You have also a neighbor guy live, I don't know the name, Boston town, close where you at maybe, yeah. If you know this. So Michael Frederic was, I coached his son a couple of years ago, and he moved from Philadelphia to Florida, and he was a big fan of the Flyers, by the way, so he came today, so that's pretty much. And then you have one of your friend, backyardsman, also in the house, so hopefully we can grow like you do. And, the purpose to invite you is like, it came from Ross Cohen. You're going to get him Friday. Ross been with us for two times in the last 12 months. And we like to have him talking about the NHL draft, everything like that. So that's where the connection start. And then I saw your YouTube channel. So tell us about your channel, the name of the channel, so the people in my chat can maybe go to click on your subscribe and helping you to grow, of course. That'd be awesome. So can give us a little bit more information.
Yeah. So the YouTube, it is Flyers Fan Mania 93. It sounds weird. I know it was kind of something. I told you, I put it together when I was like 11. I was kind of just sitting there brainstorming, and I couldn't think of anything. And 93 came from Jake Voracek, who used to play for the Flyers, was traded last offseason. And it was my favorite player growing up. Still love him to this day. And that's kind of where that came from. I think the name kind of originated because I was trying to get a name that was something that you could kind of connect fans at the same time. So that's kind of why Fan is in it, and Mania was just kind of something I made up at the same time. So that's kind of how it started. And I would appreciate it if anybody would subscribe. I mean, I think it's awesome. And again, it's cool to be able to grow something at the same time, when also being able to meet other people. So again, that was just kind of how it started when I was younger.
Who was your most influenced person? For me, when I never thought I was going to do those kind of channel. I've been coach for 40 years, and I ref and everything like that. And COVID hit us, and then I decided, so maybe it's time to stay home, everything. So I started learning the YouTube channel, but not go jumping with that. We start this with Michael DeVillano, maybe you see him a little bit later in August 25th. But do you have anybody influence you who you really, make some things say, oh, I would follow him because he does a very good job, and then make you where you are today? Do you have anybody can talk? Maybe someone mention some fun name, whatever they are.
Yeah. So, honestly, it's funny you ask, because there honestly are a lot of people. When I originally started, I think I got the YouTube and the video part of it from Steve Dangle, who does it from the Leafs. And when I was trying, because I always, again, like I said, like I was a big fan of the Flyers and always wanted to kind of put it out there online of like kind of what I thought about the team. And when I would do that, I was like, all right, let's do it in a video. So what I used to do is I used to take my old iPod Touch, and I would record myself just talking about the game. And it didn't matter how bad it was, however long it took me. It was just, sometimes it was so bad to where if I sat there and I forgot a player's name, I would just think about it for 2 minutes, and it wasn't edited. It was absolutely putrid, but I was so young, it didn't matter to me. I loved it. And I posted it, and it didn't make much sense because I had like pre-recorded ones already in the camera roll that I didn't post, and I just randomly picked one and posted it. So it basically was like I was already talking about things that you would expect to be online, but they weren't. And that was kind of where it started from then, and then just from the video part of it. But I think learning like the Flyers and everything, that was Bill Meltzer. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. He writes for PhiladelphiaFlyers.com, NHL.com, and Hockey Buzz. And I grew up reading Bill. I grew up, reading Bill, and then being able to meet him in the press box in the past couple of years has been incredible, and we've actually been able to form a pretty good relationship and stuff. So I read Bill when I was younger, and Russ, like you guys mentioned earlier, I've been pretty tight with him for the last couple of years now. So a lot of different guys have kind of helped me with this, and Sam Carchidi was another one who writes for Philadelphia Inquirer. He did for a long time, writes now for Philly Hockey Now. He was another one that was a huge part of getting me kind of off the ground and really helping me. So again, there's so many people that I could think of, but the video side of it was more Steve, and then kind of like learning the Flyers and learning, different things about the NHL and all that different stuff. That was kind of like more Bill, Sam, and all those kind of guys too.
Awesome. Don't worry. In our tap talk, is right now. I don't need him right now, but he will talk. Don't worry. It's just something he take for sure. When he start talking, he talk. We don't stop. So I just want to be sure you understand. Don't worry about this. We have a couple of questions show up right now for about you, so we're going to go through this. But I want to welcome a couple of people. Mr. Luciano Graziano back in the house. Welcome back. And then Nuna, Roger Abnober friends, is in the house tonight. Thanks to be with us. And we appreciate everybody. Don't forget, before you get out here, don't forget to click on the likes. And if you have any question, please click on the put the letter Q in front. We're going to talk about the first 15 minutes about the Flyers. Any question you want to ask Christopher about the Flyers, please don't hesitate. After that, we're going to go overall about NHL. We're going to keep him. We're going to test him about the Frenchy quiz at the end of the show tonight. We'll see how he's going to respond about all those questions. It's just funny. People love the Frenchy quiz at the end of the show, Christopher. So you're going to enjoy it. Mr. Natap, I think it's your turn. Now, I think you can ask one question.
Sure. First of all, welcome, Christopher. It's definitely an honor to have you here with us today. Just wanted to reiterate some of the things that Coach mentioned, that it is a small world with the podcasting, and you really get to know people very quickly. Do you have any I've listened to a few of your podcasts, and I've seen some of the personnel from Spitting Chicklets in there as well. Do you have a close affiliation with them as well, or are they just strictly guests?
Yeah, so it's funny because I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. The NHL has these programs with different teams. It's actually just the Warriors program, and what it is, it's disabled veterans that play hockey. And the Flyers have a really good program. They have like 3 tiers of teams. And I actually started covering them this past season. And they had a big tournament in It was the first weekend in November, and it was over in the Flyers practice facility, and I covered that. And they had a bunch of different teams come down. You know, guys from Colorado, St. Louis, Pittsburgh. I mean, and it really has grown in recent years. And that was where I actually met Brian McGonigal, RA from Spit and Chicklets,
Right.
and because Pink Whitney was the sponsor. And Chicklets was there. They had a party the one night, and since it was that weekend, they had a Chicklets party that Friday night, and I ended up meeting RA. I mean, I just talked to him for 5 minutes and asked him about the show and then some stuff with Philly and everything. And yeah, he ended up following me on Twitter after that, and I've been pretty close with him since that happened in November. Now I try not to bug him or anything, but every once in a while, tried to shoot him a message and just said really enjoyed the show today, stuff like that. But yeah, he ended up coming on last week, so that it's
Yeah, I heard
it's that. And you're right, 100%, it is a small world, and being able to meet those guys through the Warriors and everything, it was awesome.
great.
It's funny because Michael Frederick just said the Warriors was just here in Colorado Springs. We live and I live in Florida, and Michael too. And then he just said the Warrior was just here a couple of weeks ago. So that's pretty neat about that one over there. We're going to start with the first question of the night, and then we're going to go through everything, and then we'll go up and down. We don't have any specific. Talking about you starting at 11 years old. Buck Monkey is a fresh new guy, just starting 14 years old. 15, I'm sorry, he's going to beat me now. I'm going to say 14. He was 14 when he started with us. He's 15, maybe 16 now. He just talked about his questions about, do you think the Flyers should trade a GVR for what and for what price?
Yeah, so look, I mean, I think the biggest thing going into this offseason is the Flyers is trying to relieve cap space. JVR is their hardest contract to move because he makes $7 million, and the hardest thing is that he doesn't necessarily. I mean, I don't want to say, it might sound stupid, but he's essentially useless. I mean, he scored majority of his goals. I mean, I know people look at his goals. He ended up ending the year, I think leading the team with 24, and majority of them came late when the team was kind of playing a little bit better. They weren't great by any means, but better than what was happening. He was scoring a couple goals in bunches and things like that. So, I think the value is kind of definitely dropped off. He's been hot and cold since he re-signed here starting in the 2018-19 season, from being injured, and then having an average year, kind of playing better towards the end. 2019-20, that was Alain Vigneault's first year as coach. He was kind of in AV's doghouse for most of the year. He kind of really couldn't get going for most of the year. It was okay, and then ended up being scratch. He was actually a healthy scratch in the bubble for one of the round robin games, and then the year after that, he had a really good season. Ended up scoring I think it was around 25 goals, something like that. He actually had a pretty good year last season, and then this year he's been hot and cold. And if the Flyers want to make a swing at a guy like a Johnny Gaudreau or anything like that, they're going to have to move cap space. Now, people have talked about buying him out. It actually costs more for them to buy him out than it would be to trade him at 50% and retain the $3 million. I mean, his salary, his base salary is only $4 million, and the full cap is $7 million, so it's $3 million in bonuses. So the Flyers could do that. They might have to retain some money, but I do think they could move him. I don't know if it would be a package deal. They made a similar move. Well, not really a similar move, but they made a trade last year that was basically trading Shane Gostisbehere to Arizona to basically just take the cap off, take the money off the books essentially, so that they were able to acquire Rasmus Ristolainen from the Buffalo Sabres. And when they did that, it just really backfired. So I don't know if they're going to try to do that where it is a situation of them just moving the money, because I would rather them not give up assets just for a team to take a contract. I'd rather them just retain the money for a season to not give up assets, because there really isn't many assets that they can, that they can really deal with. So I'm more of the fact if they can move him, I think it's time, because he's taking up too much money and he's not producing at the level he should be at making $7 million. So that's kind of where I'm at the point with JVR. It's like, look, he's good on the power play. I think there's some teams that could use a vet like that and could use a guy that's, if you're looking at teams that have cap space, and are at least in cap trouble, might not even have to get to the cap floor. Ottawa, Seattle is another one. Arizona, that I just mentioned. So there are other teams that you could try to deal with too. I don't know kind of what price it would be, because I don't necessarily know kind of what deal the Flyers would look to make with it. But I do think he will get moved.
Yeah, the Flyers have $5 million, five players to sign to reach 23, and he carry on $7 million for one more year on the AAV, of course. So that would be interesting about that one.
I do believe they would have to retain probably 20% of that $7 million in order to try to move him. But you're absolutely right. I think it would be a wise decision. I'm going to ask Chris the obvious question that a lot of people in our chat are going to probably say as well. We've seen Vigneault, we've seen Yo. On comes Torts. I'm sure his main purpose there is really to change the climate a little bit, and sort of bring the players to a level that they they respect the jersey that they're playing for. Mm-hmm. They respect one another, because being a Habs fan, this year we saw a very tough year, and the Flyers had a tough year as well. And we saw the difference sometimes a good coach that tries to create that kind of environment does, when we picked up Martin St. Louis. Just briefly, if you can give us your thoughts on Torts coming over, and how effective do you think he'll be?
Yeah, I mean, look, I kind of look at the whole Torts thing as I don't see it as them trying to not make the playoffs. I don't see it as them trying to, I don't even answer the question of Stanley Cup or anything like that, or trying to be a contender. It's not like the coach was one part of trying to fix this team. And I do think they got the right coach. I do. I think he's the guy that's going to make the team. It's essentially them trying to add a little of the piss and vinegar back to the Flyers is what they want to do. And Torts can bring that. I mean, he can bring that energy. He can bring that spark. He can get guys to be the right pro. And I think what a lot of the issues with the team is that people think that they don't have, that they're not a good group, or they don't like playing for each other. Like, that's not the case. They definitely, I mean, you can just see it in the way that they are in practice and in the pictures of the guys. It's not like they hate each other. It's not like it's not that bad of a situation where you have guys that genuinely don't like playing with each other. But I think Torts is a guy that can spark them. I think he can, just like you said, the climate, he's going to come here and change the culture. He is going to do that. And he's going to get the fans back into it. I mean, the Flyers had some of the worst attendance I have seen in a long time last season. And I was buying tickets because that's how cheap they were. And just seeing it myself, it was a very empty stadium. I mean, when you're looking at it one night and you have the NBA with the Sixers in the playoffs one night, and then the Flyers the next night, and it's a whole completely different atmosphere. So look, I mean, I think Torts can do a lot of that. I think he can bring the spark back. I think he can definitely get guys playing the right way. And I don't think a lot of guys here had horrible seasons. I think a lot of it was some guys didn't play well, and a lot of guys just didn't finish their chances. Travis Konechny is one that comes to mind. He played better towards the end of the year, put up 52 points, but if he had some of his chances, I mean, he probably could have had 70 to 75, 80 points if he had he had that many chances. It's not like he wasn't getting chances, because that's it's a different thing. And I know I'm getting a little off topic, but I think Torts can kind of bring that back into some guys and be able to kind of get them playing with the right confidence. I don't see it as an issue where he's going to ruin young players. I think a lot of it is, if they're confident in the right guys that they can put out on this team, and be able to mold the right roster, then I think that they're going to try to do it the best way possible. And Torts has already said that this is his last coaching job, and he's probably done after this, or he is done after this. So I'd like to think that that leads me to believe that, he's going to put everything he can. He's going to do everything he can to try to get this team back to where they are. And I think the 4-year contract shows they have a little more kind of give to this too. It's not like it's just like a 1-year kind of thing. All right, just turn this around. Like, I think they're definitely going to try and take this as a process of each year trying to get better in different areas. I think the biggest thing this year, obviously, like I said, is just getting the identity back and getting the guys, being able to not just win games, but be able to win games as a team. And also, because there's different ways to lose, right? You can lose by having a good effort, getting that, that big save at the right time, or, things like that. But when you're getting killed, games 6-1, 6-2, 9-2, last season 9-0, you have a 10-game losing streak, and then later in the year you have a 13-game losing streak. That's different. So I think he can erase that, and I think they can build a new identity. I don't necessarily agree with the opinion of him. He's supposed to come in here and make and just kind of say the right things. Well, look, guys, I'm going to tell you, like, that was one of the best press conferences I've seen in the handful of years that I've covered the team. I mean, and I'm not fibbing you. Like, that was really good. I mean, I don't know if you guys got a chance to listen to it, but I would. It's long, but I would. It's very good, and I do think. A lot of it is, that's his passion. I think the passion for the game is there with sorts. I think he's just good. I think he's really going to put a lot into this opportunity.
It's going to be entertaining over there.
Yeah,
of course.
It definitely is.
We have a question. It's by two people. They are almost the same. The first one said, "Who are the Flyers drafting draft first?" He said like the 5th overall pick, and then Luciano said. The Flyers pick 5th, and then maybe pass on Matt Savoie, good or bad move. So maybe mix both question. Who do you think they're going to draft, and do you think they will go with Matt Savoie?
So as for drafting, I genuinely feel like honestly, I think a lot of it depends on who becomes available to them. I think if either of the defensemen, Nemec and Jiricek, are available, I think they go either one of them. Personally, I like Joakim Kemmel and David Jiricek. I think both of them would be fine picks. The one thing with the defensemen is the Flyers don't necessarily. If you look at their prospect pool, it's dipped in a lot of years, and actually the last handful of years, and they don't have a legit right-handed defenseman that you can say, okay, he's going to come up and he's going to play. They don't have that. So they could go for Nemec or Jiricek. As for Savoie, I don't think they're going to go Savoie. I think he's actually going to drop. I don't know how much he'll drop because they did, my thing is, look, they actually had his teammate Connor McLennan in the WHL for Winnipeg, and they didn't sign him. They drafted him in 2020. They didn't sign him, and they play similar. I don't think it's a difference of the two players. But if you're not signing a guy for the way he plays or the way he skates, things like that, I think that can kind of lead into Savoie. And I think a lot of it. Look, I feel like he plays more of a junior style game, and I think the other thing is too. He's going to need a lot of developmental patience, and the Flyers are seriously known for not giving that to guys. The amount of guys that have been here and have either been injured or they just haven't been able to turn them out into the player that they should be. Morgan Frost is the prime example of it. That's kind of the issue. So I don't see them going for a guy like Savoie. If, like I said, if Nemec is available, even if Jiricek's available, one of the defensemen, I'm perfectly fine with them. Joakim Kemmel, Cutter Gauthier would be one if that's another guy that they want to take from the U.S. program. I listen. I love the U.S. program. I think there's a lot of good things from that. They've just been churning out these players in recent years, so I wouldn't be upset at that at all. But I do think Jiricek is a possibility. Same thing with Kemmel as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I think. I think for right now, Matthew Savoie dropping a lot. Also, his teammate Connor Kiki drop a lot in the NHL draft right now. And then you get Carter Gauthier just mentioned. I think the Flyers is going to be between him and Jiricek or Nemec. Depend what Seattle Kraken is going to get. But I wouldn't be surprised it's going to be back D to D 4th and 5th, I believe. At least one of them is going to with Carter Gauthier or any other forward. So I'd be interesting to see that. So not have anything.
Yeah, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw a bit of a disconnect this year. The few times that I heard Chuck Fletcher speaking to the media, it seemed to me, and I don't know if it was posturing on his behalf or not, it seemed to me that he has sort of a higher expectation of where the team is at right now. He seems like, just to quote colloquialisms, he seems to feel like if they just retool a little bit, that they're going to be a team that is going to be in the playoffs and possibly could, win a round or two. Whereas I personally feel that they're at the stage where they have to really clear out a couple of big contracts that they have on board right now and have to build through the draft again. I know they have a couple of good kids in their farm system that will definitely help, especially on defense and goaltending. But what are your impressions about that? Do you think that maybe Chuck is a little bit disconnected with the situation?
Well, I think the biggest thing is they mention injuries a lot. And listen, if any team went through the injuries that they had this year, I mean, look, I'm sure there's other teams that went through injuries, but I don't think I have never seen anything like it. How many injuries they went through? Yeah. And I mean, when your number one center Sean Couturier is out from pretty much the entire year, Ryan Ellis played 4 games. They make that trade. They get Ellis. That's supposed to be the fill-in pairing for him to play with Ivan Provorov after they went through an offseason where they couldn't find the defenseman to play with Provorov after Matt Niskanen retired after the bubble. And the reason they couldn't find anybody was because they tried for Brody. They tried for guys like Bertrangelo. I don't think they were anywhere close on those guys. Brody, they were kind of close, but it just fell through with the no move and everything. So they kind of figured that Phil Myers would fill in. And when Myers didn't play well, and he was not good in the recent season, 2020-21, not good. And then it was just like, okay, like AV kind of messed up with some guys, and then they went out and they did this big off season. And when Chuck did that, it kind of backfired a little bit. And when they tried to keep the same coaching staff but switch the players around, it wasn't working. And to me, that was a coaching issue. And I feel like Alain Vigneault should have been let go before even going into this season. So that was an area where I was like, yeah, that wasn't the best case scenario. I think some of the problems too. I think one of the biggest things is, look, I don't look at the injuries as like an excuse, because look, they were injured. And I think a lot of the guys, I mean, Atkinson was pretty much playing most of the year hurt. Oscar Lindblom still is not back 100% from his cancer diagnosis. The amount of guys that they just had from call-ups, I mean, Wade Allison, Rasmus Ristolainen was hurt. There were so many guys that were hurt. Kevin Hayes was playing through 4 different surgeries. His brother passed away. Derek Brassard was injured most of the year. Morgan Frost is coming off a full year of shoulder surgery. And then they just got news a couple days ago of Joel Farabee, and he ended up getting hit a couple. I mean, just naming those couple of guys: Frost, Brassard, Hayes, and Couturier. Those are your 4 centers. And Nate Thompson got hurt in November, who was playing 4th line center, and he was out for 48 games. I mean, you're not going to be able to win games when you don't have players and you don't have the legit roster that you were supposed to have. But the concerning part to me is that I don't think it's a whole excuse. Like, again, it's not an excuse because they were injured. I don't think it's the main reason why everything was bad. I think a lot of it was the system and the coaching. I don't really have an issue with trying to make the team better. I think that's what Chuck did, and I gave him credit because that was probably the most aggressive offseason they had since 2007 when they went out and got Tiemann and Briere, Hartnell, and they ended up going to the Eastern Conference Final. that season in 07-08 after they had one of the worst years in franchise history. So I don't look at it as like I can't really pick a blame because it's tough, but I see this situation as it's very hard because you have a fan base that you're losing fans by the minute with the way that they've been playing and the way everything is handled and the marketing and all this stuff, and you don't have a good on ice product, and it's tough, and you're injured and you have so many different things, and so it's not an easy situation. It's going to be very tough to get out of. I just don't necessarily know. I just don't know what the first step they're going to take is. Obviously the coach, but after that, you're kind of just like, there's different things. I mean, they could go and you can make a couple trades. Like I know we were just talking about the first pick. Like people think that they can move that pick, number 5. I don't think they will. I don't see it, but that's something they could do. I don't see it at all. But look, I mean, there's so many different things here, and I think it's a tough situation. I think a lot of it was not firing Alain Vigneault at the right time. I think that was one of the biggest issues they had, and
Indeed.
Kind of. I think one of the biggest mistakes that they made too, and I mentioned it with Myers when Phil Myers was here, was they kind of just figured, okay, well he should be able to do that, and I don't think they want to do that anymore with the young guys because it's backfired on them a handful of times. Is kind of expecting that these young players are going to come in and kind of do their thing and be able to play in the right system with the coach and everything, and it backfired. So we'll see. I don't know if that's going to kind of bite them next year, but we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Couple of questions. I talk at the beginning. After that, I don't talk at all. It's just in our tap. So just want to let you know. Michael Frederick, big Flowers fan. I don't know. Can you see the question at the bottom? Or?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Will Torts actually have any
movement?
Could you? There you go. Will Torts have any player movement? I don't know. I'm not too sure. I know that I mean, that whole article came out from Anthony Sanfilippo, journalist here in Philly, from the Crossing Broad, and the whole thing of Chuck didn't want to hire him, and this whole thing of he didn't want it to be like how it was with AV, where they kind of constructed the roster together and everything. I had heard from a pretty good source that it was just, it was Chuck's hire. He even said that, and that it was, more of they were trying to find the right guy, and he didn't have an issue with it because the whole thing was that he was upset about it. So I don't see that. I do think Torts will have a say on more of when camp kind of rolls around. I'd like to think he's going to do his homework on the right players here and the guys that, and watch film from last season and try to see what's going to happen with them moving forward. I do think, some of the just the offseason moves, I do think some of it will be together. I mean, they've already said that they're going to be looking for assistant coaches, and they've talked about that. So look, I think there's a lot of things of who they are trying to get. And kind of different things. I do think Torts will have an impact. I don't know how much, but I definitely do think he will have an impact for sure.
Sweet. I'm sure you know this guy anyway. The backyards man is Chris. Who do you think the Flyers take in the draft, and who do you think they would maybe go in UF3? So maybe skip the first part of the question. Maybe if they go in UF3, who do you believe with not much money they have?
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, like I said, I think they're going to try to move out as much money as possible. Obviously, JVR, like we talked about. Lindblom, I think, is another guy that is tradable. I mean, he's a $3 million contract. You do have to move out some money. I mean, look, they have a pretty big logjam on the wing. Not much in the center department. A right wing is a total logjam. Left wing is just a little bit of leeway, but I think Johnny Gaudreau is somebody that they can go for at the right price. I'm not going for Johnny Gaudreau if it's over $10.5 million. I mean, even 10 is a stretch for me. I think if you can get him at 6-7 years, $9 million, I think that's perfect. I think that's another guy. there's been talk of Tampa Bay with Palat. He's a guy I would really like. I do think they need another center. I don't know if they tried to go for a second line type guy or if they go for a third line. I mean, if you listen to Torts' press conference, he talks about Kevin Hayes. And I think that leads me to believe that Hayes is most likely going to have a bigger role than we're kind of expecting. So I'd like to think that they go for a handful of different players. I think Gaudreau is a good one. I wouldn't mind I think just a solid, right-handed veteran defenseman to play the bottom pair, and they had that with Justin Braun. I'm curious maybe if he would come back. We'll see. But I think besides that, I think they'll need a couple things. I think more of what they'll do is actually going to be trade instead of free agency. I think it'll be kind of making more hockey trades and things like that. I don't really see it as too much though. I think it's just trying to get guys healthy and trying to see kind of build in the best roster for training camp.
You're absolutely right about that. Fire up on this one. Can Cam Atkinson become good trade bait if the Flyers are a poor team again?
He could be. I mean, I think it'd be easier to answer that question if they're bad again. I'm not too sure. If Cam does get paid a good amount of money. So look, I don't think the Flyers are looking to move Atkinson. If I'm being honest, that's probably a question where I might have to say, talk to me at the end of the season, and I might have an answer for you. But right now, I think it's kind of tough because you don't really know A, who's going to be on the roster next year, and B, how the Flyers will play with that team. So I think we'll have to wait and see what happens.
We know the relationship was not great between Provorov and the Flyers at some level at some point last season. I don't know if it's better now, but what they are right now between both of them.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I was there. I was in attendance for the interview that kind of happened there with Provorov. It wasn't great. It's not something you want to hear. I think a lot of it was frustrations boiling over from a season like that and everybody kind of picking on him because he didn't have the best season, but nobody did. And the team played like crap. And when you kind of look at a guy like Provorov who plays as many minutes as he does, and he has a lot of responsibility, a lot of that is going to fall on him because he's the number one defenseman. And, when you have a guy like Ellis that he's supposed to play doesn't, and then he's playing a year with Justin Braun for most of the year, pretty much the last 2 seasons he's played with Braun. He played with like at least 5 or 6 defensemen last year. Played with Braun, played with Nick Seeler. He played with Sanheim, he played with Ristolainen, and he played with pretty much everybody. Even Keith Yandel. He was playing with so many different guys throughout the year, and it's hard to do that. It's hard to carry a pairing. And look, I'm not saying Provorov was perfect. I thought there were some games he wasn't great, but I thought there were some games where he played well. And I thought a lot of it was more of frustrations boiling over. I don't think the Flyers are going to overreact to an end of the season comment like that. Now, if he requests a trade, then he requests a trade. There's not much else you can do. But I don't think it's any situation of him and the team, wanting to part ways or anything like that. I think because, again, the main reason that Ellis was brought here was for Provorov. And, I think the Flyers want to see how that was. And if I'm being honest, in those 4 games, that he played, that pairing was pretty good. And, if you want to look at it that way too, it was the beginning of the season, first 3 games, and then there's one random game in November. And outside of that, everything was pretty much different pretty much every night. So, they played, they literally didn't play a single game with a full, complete, healthy lineup. From game 1 to game 82, didn't play with a single healthy lineup once. So because they had Ristolainen was out the first couple games, and then when he came back, Ellis was out, and then it was just like everybody. So I think the biggest thing is just trying to get everybody healthy and to see how that pairing can kind of mix for next season.
Awesome. Yasmin ask you, Chris, now that Giroux is gone, who do you think will wear the C next season? Who do you think they will go without captain next year? And then they have another question about Giroux. Do you believe Giroux could come back in Philadelphia?
I think the biggest question to the Drew thing is why would he? I mean, he goes and he plays in Florida, and look, they get swept, but they get swept by Tampa Bay. I mean, that's not a it's not an easy opponent. It's not like they were the I mean, some people had them as the favorites. I didn't. I thought they were going to lose. I think I actually had Tampa in 6. Um, I think the biggest thing is trying to move on from Giroux and move on from those guys. And it's nothing against them. It's nothing against Voracek. It's nothing against Giroux. I just think it's time for a new identity. I mean, you've talked this whole thing of new identity, and I mean, look, if Giroux would want to come back, I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to say no. It's not like, I mean, if I was in Chuck Fletcher's shoes, I'd be like, yeah, sure, you want to come back? Yes. I mean, he's a great player. He does a lot for the team, and I thought he was a good leader. I thought he was very underappreciated here. One of the more underappreciated athletes in Philadelphia. His 1,000th game was one of the best Flyers games I ever went to in my life. It was awesome, and it was very emotional. And him coming back, I think I would welcome it, but I just don't know if he'd want to. And maybe it would be best to leave it in the past. But if it's for a new captain. The Flyers already said that they're essentially going to wait until after camp to kind of announce that. I think Couturier is probably the main guy everybody would like. I think Atkinson is a guy that's up there. I think Scott Lawton is another one. They've been around for a long time now. It's not like Atkinson hasn't been a leader before. I'm curious to see kind of other players that they come in to kind of see who could take that role. But I think Couturier is probably the number one choice right now, just from being here so long and being that kind of guy that's been the veteran, but also being quiet at the same time. And he is a quiet leader, and I don't think there's any issue with that. So look, I mean, I do think Couturier would be one, but again, I think Atkinson and Lawton would be perfectly fine for it as well.
Awesome. Question maybe more deeper. Who is your favorite Flyers all time?
Well, probably Jake Voracek, honestly. From just me watching. I mean, I'm only 18, but from watching from 12, 13 on till now, I'd have to say Voracek.
Awesome. In our top?
Yeah, Chris, was there any truth to there was some rumbling around trade deadline time that apparently Giroux had asked at the end of the year that he might want to return, and he sort of wanted, from what I gathered, he wanted a guarantee that they would take him back in Philadelphia, and apparently Fletcher responded with a definitive no to that. I don't know if there was any truth to that, number one. And number two, on a different level, Ryan Ellis, there was some rumbling also that he was upset about a number of things, even centered around how his health issues were sort of treated, and he was requesting to be traded. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I think the Ellis thing was more of I think any player that would go through that would be frustrated. But being traded is a no. I mean, he said it exit day. He was like, no, I want to be here. Like, I want to be a Flyer. And that was Ellis himself. And look, I didn't necessarily believe that either. I just think it was a lot of frustration, and it was such a tough season. So that's kind of where I put the Ellis thing. The Giroux thing, the only thing that I knew was the team. The only thing I knew was that I knew it was Florida, just didn't know when it was happening. And I think the biggest thing was the Flyers didn't have any talks with Giroux, or excuse me, it wasn't any talks. It's just they weren't able to get an extension. And right before the season started, they extended Sean Couturier for 7 years, 8 years, and they extended Joel Farabee. And both of them start this season, the 22-23 year. So they extend both of those guys, and they were the only UFAs. Well, I believe Farabee was RFA, coming off of an ELC. But Those were the only three guys that they pretty much had to re-sign at that point. And they got two of the three done. And I think the biggest thing with Giroux was they had a tough year in 21, and he wanted to see what 21-22 was going to bring before he made any decision. And that was kind of where I was like, all right, he might not stay. And that was kind of where I had it in my head. I'm like, I don't know, like, let's just see how the season went. And then as it got worse and worse and worse, I'm like, yeah, this is dwindling down. And I don't know anything if it was, Chuck him saying no. I don't know anything about that. I cannot confirm nor deny. But the one thing I can say is that I knew it was Florida. I just didn't know when. And the other thing was too is that, if I saw it myself as if it was going to happen, I think it was going to happen before the season started. Is that when we want to know? Because if you were able to sign a couple of those other guys, and I think Drew wanted to kind of see what his options were, come trade deadline, and obviously he got dealt to Florida.
Awesome. Two questions at the same time. Where Goudreau, you talked about Goudreau earlier, but Pete Martin said about, are you worried about the fact if he signed them? Because the max they can sign him if you don't have the right 7 years, but if they get him 5-6 years or maybe 6 and more, do you worry about the longevity of the contract, or at the end of the contract he will not perform at the way he's doing right now with 100 points per season?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it depends on kind of how the team is going. If they have another tough season next year and they decide to if they let some people go and then they kind of just, go for a rebuild, then I think that, it could be a movable contract. But I don't think it, like, if they're going neck and neck with the team, like say New Jersey and Calgary are the other two teams, and they're neck and neck, and it's like, oh, well, New Jersey says we'll pay 10 and the Flyers go, we'll pay 11. That's when I'm like, yeah, that's where I wouldn't do it. Because that's when I think it gets worse. That's when I think it's harder to move, a contract like that. Now, that being said, it still is Johnny Gaudreau. I think the biggest thing is trying to find out where the team is going to be when that kind of contract sets in. If it was 5-6 years, I mean, look, I think if they can get Gaudreau, as I said, 7 years, $9 million, 9.5, something like that, I'd be perfectly okay with it. I wouldn't necessarily look for, I think the biggest thing would be, is it harder, later down the road when you're trying to move guys, or maybe you're trying to move into a different direction, than to kind of keep those same players on those contracts.
Awesome. Sorry about that. The Vegas Golden Knights just announced they hired assistant coach John Stevens and Sean Burke to join Bruce Cassidy on behind the bench. So, Mr. John Stevens, many years in hockey as a head coach and also as assistant coach, many years with the Los Angeles Kings. And Sean Burke just left the Montreal Canadiens and now going to be with the Vegas Golden Knights. So, just breaking news. Everybody tell us everything's going around here with the Hockey Nation show. We don't miss anything what's going on. Question for you, Mr. Is a great question. We know what Carter Hart is for them, is the young goaltender, maybe the next great goaltender in NHL. He did not perform overall like the team, honestly, the last, at least 2 years. But do you believe at the third round pick or maybe the higher they were looking to draft one the goalie and this NHL draft this year or not?
No. I mean, look, I think the goalie thing is more, for starters, I think Carter Hart is perfectly fine. He was one of the actual better players last season. It wasn't great the year before. He had some goals where you think, okay, he needs that one. And I think a lot of that was, him being in the league and players being able to find his weakness. And I think high glove side was a big issue for him. I thought it was good last year. I mean, I thought he had some good games. Yeah. I mean, look, it's so tough to play in front of the defense and the guys that they had in the team. But as for drafting or anything like that, I mean, look, they took Alexei Kolosov last year in the draft in the third round. He was an overager as a goaltender. They have Felix Sandstrom. They just re-signed to a 2-year deal. And he played 5 games last season, played pretty much towards the end of the year when Hart was hurt for a little bit. And that is the one concerning thing. I don't want to make it like it's a big deal, but Bill Meltzer has mentioned this a good amount of times to me that, they've essentially, every year that Hart's been up here, he's been injured for a little bit. It's been nothing like crazy. It's been little kind of nagging injuries. So it is something to keep in mind, but I think Hart is the future here. I think that's one of the biggest things. I mean, look, people want to try to move him for like a Draisaitl, and I'm just like, we haven't had a goaltender, and I cannot tell you how long. And you want to move this guy? It just doesn't make sense to me. But the other thing is too, as I said, you have Sandstrom. You have
Super chat.
Ivan Fedotov, who also they signed as well to a 1-year deal, and he's coming over from the KHL. They've had him since 2017. Kind of blossomed over there, and he has some really good numbers, like comparable to like Sorokin and things like that. I mean, he's really good, Sorokin, Shesterkin type. And he's huge. He's 6'7". So I mean, he's pretty much going to stop pucks by accident because of his size. So I think training camp there's going to be a battle for the backup spot. I think it's going to be Fedotov. Yeah. I think it's going to be Sandstrom, kind of looking to see who can play. Sandstrom had some really good games last year. He ended up going 0-4-1. I mean, he was making a lot of saves, and it felt like a lot of it was more of the Flyers' defense kind of giving guys more of a time to shoot on them. And I think, some of that, if you get the right system, goalies obviously look better. So I think a lot of it is going to be more of a battle in camp. And, I don't know if the Flyers will take a goalie in the draft again. Probably not. Fletcher has only drafted 2 goaltenders in his time, and Roddy Ross was the other one. He thought the Flyers don't have his rights anymore, and then Kolosov, like I just mentioned. So that's pretty much been it on the goalie side of things.
And we lose track of the fact that Carter Hart is only 23 years old, and we know that goalies usually develop at a little bit later stage in their career.
Jacob Markstrom's a prime example of it.
Exactly. And I think he has a great career ahead of him in Philadelphia, and I agree that they should provide more support defensively. I think that's a great area of concern right now for Philadelphia, but he'll be fine. Carter Hart will be.
For sure. Yeah, no, he will. And again, I mean, going back to towards his press conference, he said, like, we need to get better in front of Carter. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And they do 100% have to get better in front of Carter Hart. I mean, again, it's the team defense. It's not just one guy. It's not just a certain pairing. It's not just one, certain forward or defenseman. It's their team D. And it's been a problem for the last 2 seasons, and getting the right system and the guys to buy into it will be better for them. It'll be more beneficial trying to play better in front of Carter Hart next year. 100% agree.
Awesome. I will go to bring Michael Devillano in the chat in the next few seconds. We're going to move on. Anybody have a question for Christopher for the Flyers? Don't forget to put the letter Q. We're going to move on with everything's go around the league at the same time. So we're going to finish the next 30 minutes before we finish the show after that. Let's move on, Michael, to bring Michael there because he was show up at the last second. So we'll bring him over there. Here we go. Michael, show up. Michael, welcome aboard. I cannot hear you. You have to click on something on your part.
Pierre, why weren't you at yoga with me?
I'm sorry?
Why weren't you at yoga with me?
I asked you, Lutter. I did not hear from you before that, so it's all good about this. Question for you, for everybody, Michael, maybe Christopher. Do you think the Islanders Flyers will ultimately battle it for Johnny Hockey if he make it free agent, but he will make a UFA where possible?
If you're Johnny Gaudreau, that's a real tough one, If Couturier is healthy, I think Hayes, when healthy, you got a pretty good one too. But neither one's like a real creative guy. Like, I don't know if either one is like compared to the line mates he's got now. Like, I don't know. That'd be a tough move for me if I'm Johnny Gaudreau to trust that the Flyers are going to pull it together in a lot of ways. You got so many holes in that team.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I kind of look at it like if Look, Johnny's always talked about coming to play here. I mean, it's been since like 2017. He said it. I think this is the one chance he might be able to come here and look. I mean, if the Flyers are going to pay him, they're going to pay him. I mean, I don't. Again, I said this earlier. I don't think they should go for a, you know, if it's like they're in a bidding war, like the question was. I wouldn't, you know, try to go higher. I don't think they have, you know, any type of. I don't think they have any type of cap room to even really attempt to do anything like that if they want to make another move. I don't think getting desperate is the option here. And I don't really think it's the off season to do it, if I'm being honest with you. I think maybe next year. But look, I mean, I think Couturier, he's one of the guys that when healthy, he's one of the best two-way centers in the league. I mean, he's not, I mean, I think a lot of people forget he won the Selke a couple years ago. I mean, he really is a good player, and when he's healthy, he's kind of like that stick-it guy. You know, maybe you could say similar like the Landeskog. You kind of just you can stick a guy who's struggling with him, plays well. It happened in the beginning of the season, in actually in AV's first year here. Put Voracek and JVR with them. Both players were struggling at the time, and I think they put up like 6 points the next 3 games. Both of them. The line was playing well, and Coots is a guy who can do that. Hayes is tough because both of the guys are coming off injury, so I understand the concern. And yeah, I mean, I think overall, I think one of the biggest things is just trying to, again, like I said, get guys healthy. But I think if the Flyers are looking to pay a guy, I wouldn't try to get desperate.
Awesome.
Position for this. I mean, if you're Johnny Gaudreau, do you really want to have Ristolainen as your second best D behind on that team?
I mean, I don't know.
He's got a pretty good situation in Calgary.
Yeah, he does, and that's the thing. I mean, it's not. You know, they got a pretty good situation, but it's just like I kind of look at it like, you know, how many years are they going to try to turn this around? It seems like that 1 year they're not playing well, the next year they're in the playoffs and they end up losing. But I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to put it around completely. But if I'm Gaudreau, I mean, I do agree though. I think it is an easy situation. I mean, a lot of people were thinking like Kadri to the Flyers, and I'm kind of just like, why the hell would he leave Colorado? It doesn't make much sense. If it's more of like a guy who's afraid on a struggling team, I could see that. But both those teams just play well. So again, I 100% can see that as well.
I don't feel like Tortorella and Kadri are a great fit, but I can totally see Chuck Fletcher pulling a move like that. I'm not totally sold on his choices of personnel. Like I think that would probably could be a Breeze Gallo-sized mistake for them. I think Colorado just squeezed the best out of Kadri. I don't know if you ever get that again.
I mean, I don't know. Again, I think a lot of it is, obviously numbers are inflated because they're playing well, but I think he fits in the right system and they know how to play him. And, if you get a guy like that, and again, if you get the right system, you get the right guys and everybody buys in, I mean, anybody can play well. So that's kind of how I look at it too. I mean, I think a lot of it is the system and getting the right coach. And it seems like that they've done that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of injuries as well, Chris, we all heard about Joel Farabee, and that it's going to be a little bit serious here. He's going to be out apparently 3 to 4 months is the word, and that's going to be a big hole to fill as well because last couple of years, he's really developed, and I think he has a lot to offer to the team. But
he does for sure. I mean, I think a lot of look. I mean, Farabee last year, I think it was a couple things. He took 2 hits. One was against the Islanders. It was up high from Dobson. Got him in the shoulder. And then he had another hit later in the season. It might have been later in the season. I can't remember. But they were playing the Rangers, and Keandre Miller got a good piece of him on the wall. And they were both towards the shoulder. So, it could have been a whole different amount of things because he was hurt for a little bit. The Islanders game ended up staying in and ended up being okay. Then the Rangers game, he ended up leaving that game. He was out for a little bit. There was a period of time where he was out for a couple games with an undisclosed injury. Then he ended up pretty much coming back towards the end of the year. He wasn't 100%, but he was playing. And I kind of took it as players said he was okay. They were like, all right, yeah, you can play, plays, and then probably started, summer training and getting ready for next year, and then either re-aggravated or found something new. And that was kind of similar to what Hayes went through. Seemed like he was okay, he was fine, practicing on the ice, he's just skating around, feels another pop. It's like, again, it was just like everything that could go wrong went wrong. And and everybody's first reaction is like, well, why did you wait till June to get surgery? And I kind of look at it as like, it probably was they were trying to see what it was, and he seemed like he was okay, and he said he was fine, played, and then probably re-aggravated in the summer. So that's kind of how I look at it. I mean, he's probably going to miss all of training camp. He's probably going to be on the opposite rink in a non-contact sweater, just shooting pucks, or at least I don't even know if he'll be able to shoot because, again, it's the shoulder, and he's definitely got. I mean, it definitely is going up to the neck. It's not like that's not it's not like that's not like uncommon or anything. So I'd like to think that it's probably a couple months. I think probably he might miss the first couple of games. I mean, they'll probably try to work him in maybe a preseason game or two if he can go. And I think if he can go by camp, we'll see. But I think best bet probably November is when you're probably looking at at least a pretty good return. Maybe late October, early November, probably around Halloween.
Awesome. Let's fire up a little bit. Look at question for Chris. Why would the Flyers sign a free agent or not? Are you free or not this season?
Yeah, again, like I talked about, I think Gaudreau is definitely a guy that I would like. Palat is another one if they could go for. I think the biggest thing is just trying to find the right players that can kind of come in and not just play for the team, but get excited about kind of playing with the system and Torts and everything like that, and just trying to kind of get the old kind of style Flyers back.
Okay. We're going to fire up left and right. Pete, what pick did the Flyers have in the draft, Peter? 6 pick, 1 to 7. The only one they don't have is second round pick. So they have 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7 for the upcoming year, Peter. So that's what we got about this one. Go to fire up everywhere. Nicholas said that this Sean Berg thing came out of nowhere for me. Any insight of what happening there, Mr. Notap? Anything you want to add about Sean Berg's situation?
For Vegas, you mean?
Sorry, Michael?
Sean Berg.
Yeah.
So he asked what's this coming from nowhere for him?
No, I don't think it was out of nowhere with Montreal. I think that there was some rumbling of it towards the end of the year. I'm not surprised that he got picked up right away. I think his services will definitely be well garnished there. So, yeah.
Okay. The situation with Sean Burke, it was since the new management coming back come in January, he become a scout for them. They remove him, and Martin Saint Louis bring Raymond behind as a goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens. And then Burke was only scouting around, and then that was maybe his end of his contract anyway for Montreal Canadiens. So they let him go somewhere else, and that's happened that way, Nicholas. Michael, do you think the Hawks will keep the goalie they have now? Or do you expect any new goalie go there?
What goalie?
I'm sorry again?
What goalie? We have no goalies. What, Lankin?
Yeah, Lincoln in right now, and Drillia, and then the Sweden goalie, I believe they have over there.
Yeah, they're a mess. I mean, they've kind of self-imploded, they made moves in the offseason they thought would be the difference maker. Obviously, we didn't love their defense, but they didn't look too bad in goal going into the year. But Lankinen shown, I don't even think he's an NHL goalie much longer. To me, he's not even a number 2. His stats are well below average. He can't carry a backup role, much less a first-string role. I think they're in real trouble there. They got to figure something out long-term. But I think they just tank.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're just going to move assets. They're going to try and load up the next 2 years if they're smart. If the Hagel deal is any indication, and we were kind of critical of that at first because he's got some eye-popping stats, and the players were all shocked, but who they got back was not too bad. They got a decent pick, and then they got 2 players that stepped on the roster, and they both played pretty well. The big winger, what's his name, from Erie, Radish, he played very well, I thought. And I think he might have had as many goals as Hagel.
Okay.
All
right. Kelly, I have a question for Chris about Wasserman's best days in Flyers. He came to Toronto. He did not perform as expected.
Well, I think the biggest thing with Simmons was you got the pretty much the end. He was really banged up that year when his last year as a Flyer. I think he had like 8 injuries in the span of like one season. He had like a groin, hip, I think shoulder. I mean, like there were so many different things. And he was really banged up for most of that year, and he wasn't himself. You could just say it the way he was skating, and he always kind of skated kind of a weird way. He's a taller guy, lanky, kind of like that. So I think a lot of it just kind of caught up to him. And look, I think Simmons is more of your fourth line kind of guy now. He can fight, he can give you that spark. I think on a good year he could give you 8 to 10 goals, maybe 12 if the team's playing real well. But again, I think a lot of it was just you kind of got the pretty much the end of what really Simmons kind of was.
Awesome, great, and maybe Christopher, you can tell people what is your channel again?
Yeah, it is Flyers Sim 93. I do Flyers game recaps after every all 82 games, and then I do a weekly live show on Fridays from 1 to 2 o'clock Eastern, talking Flyers as well.
Awesome. Danny T said, Mr. Nartap, he said, from yesterday, is Maroon gonna be fine for what he did? And for the answer from yesterday, Mr. Danny, we're going to tell you what we said last night. It was, no, he's not going to be suspended.
But tomorrow...
Out of sight, out of mind.
What did you think of Bobby Brink?
Question for Nicholas. Maybe one of you guys can maybe answer, everybody. Calgary, best or the most surprising D on Calgary this year?
I think Anderson was a little bit better than I realized. Shillington had a breakthrough year. I've been talking about this guy for a long time, and I wasn't sure if he was going to get buried because I was watching him, and I think finally you see like he's a real good skater. He's smart. He's difficult to play against one-on-one. So I think Shillington was the big pop through for me.
I think collectively as a team, they all played much better than expected, and you could definitely see that. And it helped to have Markstrom and vice versa. Their improved defensive play helped Markstrom. He had had a career year.
You're absolutely right about this. I always said one thing. Everybody talk about because Darryl Sutter is a defensive mindset. I think collectively they play better as an offensive side. If you think about NFL, maybe his best season offensive. Right. Killington have a great year over there. Anderson, great overall about this. And what about Gulbenson and Zadorov? Gulbenson have 4 or 5 goals this year. So I think overall they did a great question, by the way. But I think that's happening about that. Maybe
we all forgot about Tanev, Pierre.
Yeah. Run with King. What do Kings do if Quick does not come back after next year, or they will next season? King no, and the King fans know Pedersen is not the answer.
I don't know. I like Cal. I think Cal will be okay. I know his numbers were a little below average, but they obviously got to get another goalie in there long term because Quick's still a warrior, but obviously that's not going to last much longer.
What do you think?
Cal Peterson's going to be fine.
Yeah. Chris, what is the situation with Martin John or the backup for the Flyers? We know they signed Felix Sandram a couple of days ago, maybe a week. What do you think the Flyers going to do about the situation over there as a backup?
I think most of it is, I think Jones will probably walk. I thought he played well. I thought he was kind of put into a tough situation, but I don't think he's going to be here. I mentioned earlier they had signed Ivan Fedotov out of the KHL. He was a draft pick from 2017. 6'7" goaltender, similar numbers to Sorokin, Shesterkin type over there. So I mean, I think it's going to be more of a battle in camp, and again, like you just mentioned with Sandstrom, I think Sandstrom and Fedotov will probably battle for the backup spot in a training camp come September.
Awesome. Nicholas, is there any scout that concentrate on only goalies and NHL team? Nicholas, I can answer if you don't have. I will tell you now, Nicholas. What do you do? The goalie, the goalie coach for each team, they go to scout every goalies in NHL and American Hockey League. That's a part of their job, honestly. And then during the off season, that's what they're reviewing. I can tell you, my friend Cibria was coach with Toronto, and they will request him at the April. They will say, look, can you tell us the best 3 goaltender we can maybe looking for during the off season? And he will look each one of them, every save, everything. And that's the reason Toronto got Frederick Anderson. By the way, Michael, he was really impressed by Jack Johnson. He said Jack Johnson as a backup number 2. He said he was really impressed the way he was goaltending. He said he never get that kind of opportunities in NHL overall. He said that people also like McEhenny, came from Carolina, went to Toronto, then they let him go to Tampa Bay 2 years ago. But that's happening, Nicholas, about this one. Chris, for you, from Pierre Martin, will Flyers make the playoff 2023? Will Montreal does? Montreal will not going to make the playoff, Pierre, for sure. And I don't know. I'm pretty sure what Chris was going to tell us, but go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's tough. I'm really not looking to make a prediction. I think it's more of trying to. And again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but I think the biggest thing is trying to find the right roster and find the right guys. And I don't really have an answer for you. I mean, I have no idea because I don't know who's going to play for the Flyers come September, October. I think it's tough, and I think if everything goes well, they could. I think they're going to try. I don't think they're just going to be like we're just trying to rebuild the identity or anything like that. I think they're genuinely going to try to make the playoffs. And listen, they might. I mean, look, I hope they do. I mean, I don't want to go through 3 years in a row without covering the playoffs, but. Look, I really would like for them to make the playoffs. I just don't know who's going to be on the roster. And to say that right now, I think it's tough.
Awesome. Any one of you want to answer? Do you think the Brinkat will... Oh, sorry about that. Do you think the Brinkat would be gone before the draft?
I don't think necessarily before the draft, unless they get some kind of... great offer by a team. If anything, probably at some point during the year, maybe just before a trade deadline, especially if the haul is good for Chicago, then I could see it happening.
Anybody want to add something?
I think if you're trying to move that guy, you want as many picks back for next year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that means you're trading him now to bank that someone's going to think, oh, this guy's going to be a difference maker for me, and you're betting that he's not. Or if, you just back up the truck at the end of the year and someone grabs him.
Yeah.
So either way,
I mean, he's been rumored to come to Philly. And, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He's been rumored to come to Philly. And the package was like, from what I heard, was Farabee, York, Forster, and like a first-round pick, and the first-round pick was the number 5, and I'm just like that's insane. That's too much, because to me it's like you got Farabee, you have York, you got a first, and that's a number 5, which is so that's pretty much 2. I mean, you can honestly look at that as 2 assets.
Yeah.
And
trading a top defenseman. right?
Yeah,
Like York's going to
and
be a top 4 defenseman.
right.
He might do that this year, and then what? Trevorrow could be easily. He's easy top 6 already.
Right, exactly,
trade that.
exactly. And, you know, Forster's another first-round pick, and he's a good player. Like, and it's way too much. And it's a guy that, first of all, he's an RFA. You don't even know if he's going to sign. But, you know, again, I think a lot of it is more of trying to you know, find the right trade. Again, like I said earlier, I don't want to be desperate. But listen, guys, I actually have to drop off. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, again, I definitely will be down to come on again sometime.
Not a problem. We're not a problem, Mr. Christopher. Thanks for your time tonight, by the way.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. You
Bye-bye.
guys too.
We have, I'll let it go this one. I will move. In our time, look better in the middle, by the way. That's what's happening about this one. Let's move on with a couple of questions. We have Luciano, and then we'll be for everybody. I know Chris left, but he said if I would be a mistake to not draft Matt Savoie. What do you see Matt Savoie right now?
People are sleeping on this guy.
They're sleeping on him, you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's if you're looking at Logan Cooley, why wouldn't you look at Matthew Savoie?
I think he's in the 6 to 10 range.
You're going to be someone really lucky that gets him at 6 to 10.
Well, you got to figure probably the first 2 or 3 picks will be forwards, and then you'll probably see both Nemec and Jiricek go. So possibly right after that, you'll see Savoie go.
I think what for me, I will add a Gauthier before him. Bigger, 6'2", 6'2.5", whatever he is right now, maybe 6'3", a little bit later. So Gauthier will be in front of Savoie for sure. And now, if you check, Nemec is already there. That's game number 7. And then some people may be looking more for Kemel or Limitereki or a defenseman if that team need a defenseman. So I think that's the reason he's dropping maybe from 7, 8, 9, 10.
I'm just going to tell you what our scouts think, and they all said that they think he's as good as Cooley, and someone's going to get a steal. And I don't know if I would have the guts to draft him that high, but you know, I've never seen this guy have an off game. And he's the only thing against him, he's small.
Yeah, now they consider him with me, but put him as a left winger.
He's definitely a winger.
So,
but guess what? So Mike Cooley might have a winger.
Yep. For Mr. Enartap, Steve J asks you, what jersey are you behind you?
Is that Patrick?
Oh, it's our goalie. Carey Price. They're both 31? Carey Price. Yeah.
Jose Duarte asks you guys, will Toronto trade Jack Campbell for draft?
But they don't have him signed, so.
Yeah,
he's
now, can you think they will make the rights? The rumor is, because when he asked this question, the rumor now is trade the right to the New Jersey Devils and return they get Mackenzie Blackwood.
What? I would take that in 5 seconds.
If I were Toronto,
are they taking Campbell for Blackwood? I'd take Blackwood.
He struggled for the last 2 years.
He was injured and he was COVIDed. So if you really believe that, you know, this is I don't know. I guess it depends on. Jersey. That's what it boils down to. Like, it was the COVID thing. Like, it was yo-yo, and he had COVID. He had an elevated heart problem, right? And didn't want to get the vax. And I think he just didn't get the reps.
Yeah, he never reached that one over there. So we got a super chat. We have to do it because John did it again. At $10 super chat. Here we go. John did it. Rivers. Chop.
Where does it go?
Here we go. John D did it again with Michael DiVillano a little bit earlier. We apologize for Michael earlier. So congratulations, Mr. John D. Thanks so much. We really appreciate about this one there. We don't have no question, but I have some subject for you guys, so I thought I would bring to you before we go to the question of the night. And Bob McKenzie announced today on the TSN his 90 draft pick, and he select Slavkovsky as a number 1 over Shane Wright. And my question for everybody in the chat and you guys tonight, who will be number 1 NHL draft? And we're not talking about the Montreal. We're talking about selection-wise. Do you believe Shane Wright should be number 1 or Gerard Slavkovsky should be number 1?
Yeah, I you know what? First of all, with Mackenzie's selection there, if you read into it a little bit more in depth, it's based on, I think it was 5 or 6 different opinions that he had from scouts, and it was very, very close. It was like
it's
a
9
narrow margin.
9 of them, 5 and 4.
Yeah, something like that. For me, look, if Montreal doesn't pick right, it's a mistake. I think he gives you more consistency. He brings you both sides of the game. I think he might not initially be at that stage, and we got to keep in mind that he had that year off, and that really affects your development and your play. But he's come on strong, and I think it's the safe bet to take him number 1.
Yep.
So I will say I've been watching a lot of Slavkovsky videos because I've been really down on the guy. So I said, all right, let me look at this with fresh eyes. And I think the things that I like about him, he's quick. He is a lot quicker than I've seen him. His performance of the World Juniors was not good to me, and that's always a red flag. But yes, the Olympic thing, he was a goal a game in the Olympics. But the problem is, who is he scoring goals against? And I think that's the thing that concerns me. That's the only reason, because if you look at what he is talent-wise, he's big and fast, and he can shoot the puck. Yeah. So if you look at that, I can see why they started comparing him to Svechnikov. I think my concern is that gonna, what he does, he seems to score from the high slot. Would you agree with that? Pretty consistently. He's able to find a lot of space in the high slot against Olympic competition.
He crashed to the net also.
He crashes to the net. He does. So that's good, right? But also, I guess my concern with him was, can he get his shot off in tight? And I don't see NHL goalies on a lot of those shots not stopping them. But I mean, he looked really good in the videos I've been watching the last 2 days. So
now here's my point here, and I reflect on that, and I've always been Shane Wright, and then I'm thinking about this one there, and I would give you an example. Ratanen, McKinnon,
right,
Lendegaard.
Yeah.
Now you have the possibility right now to patch a guy for 10 years with Caulfield and Suzuki together, and you get the winger on the left side to jam that one over there. And that, for me, this going to be the line of why the reason the Colorado have a great success right there. It's because of that line over there carry on that team. And they have a chance right now to carry on that team. If you put Shane Wright, you have no winger at the Montreal to get that kind until maybe 5 years, and maybe never to get that piece of the puzzle they don't have at that moment on the left side. And that would fix that line forever for the next 10 years after that. And I think...
I'm not clear on who you're saying, though. Are you saying draft Wright or draft Slavkovsky?
Slavkovsky.
Yeah, see, I guess my problem is I don't believe that he has the scoring that we think he does. I think that you're going to be shocked when he plays NHL competition, and it's going to be a lot tougher.
Everywhere he played, Michael, he hit everything. Whatever his competition and everything. World Championship guy, he did not play against the minor right now. He played with professional.
In Slovakia? Or was he in Finland?
And the World Championship, he played with the best, the great professional. And he was...
That's terrible. That was terrible, Pierre. I go back and watch those games. Like
He's 17 years old, Michael, and he battled in the corner with 26, 29, and he's not go back off at all.
Yeah.
So for me,
he looked good at Olympics, but I looked at who he's scoring against. That's who I was kind of looking at. There's a lot of room out there.
For me, if you want to match up, I think that's the reason I would take Slavkovsky, because of that line over there. If not, you're not going to.
I don't think that would be their permanent line. I still think you have to have strength down the middle, and if you have you have Suzuki, and you can fill right now. You can put Dvorak at the proper place, which is the third line centerman, and and then even if you have to, leave Anderson on the wing with those two, and next year you go after the best winger available with size. And you'll get an excellent.
But you don't go to get a scorer 35 goals with the next one out there if you pick 8, 9, 10.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think that Wright will like this. This is where I look at what he does really well. He has a great shot, guys, and he does not need a lot of room to get it off. And if you look at his first season in the OHL, he had more goals than assists. He had 39 goals as a rookie, and that was as a 15-year-old. And then
how he compete, Michael? What is compete? How do he compete?
I don't like his practice habits. Everything that I've heard from our coaches was not positive. But when it comes to a game, this guy suddenly turns it on. So does that become a problem? I don't know. If he's saying he's a 200-foot player and he lives up to it, you're fine. But
do we remember Guy Lafleur? Never performed well in practice. Never, ever. Never even saw meaning behind some of those drills. And then he played the way
but he dominated the junior in our tap for Guy Lafleur. He was a super elite.
Yeah,
for me,
absolutely.
I believe Montreal should go with that one over there. They can fix the center a little bit later. They have so many center right now, and this draft pick you can get. And next year, they have the top 10. They have 6 center you can get over there next year. You can reach Bedal. You can get Fentili. You can make out play both positions. He play right now in KHL on the left wing. And they have the Sweden guy, the 6'3" over there. I think for me, I would go with Slavkovsky because how he compete, how he battle for the puck, how he can carry on the puck. I'm telling you now, for me, it's the dream. The McKinnon, Ratanen, Lesdegard, that's what you get with that 3 line over there.
Okay, so let's just return, and again, I'm not proposing this, but let's return to that rumor. If you have the opportunity right now, do you go after New Jersey and say, what is it that you want? And I want the number 1 and 2 pick, or the number 2 pick. So you pick both of the guys.
No, because we don't have what they're looking for.
What are they asking for?
I think we do.
They have Caden Cooley and something else? Is that what they're asking for?
No, they want a goalie first. And then after that, they're looking at a top 6 forward in NHL. And we don't have those. We don't have enough. Josh Anderson is not a top 6. They're looking at guys like Kevin Fiala and more. Philip Force. We don't have that kind of players like this to get.
I think they're looking towards defense as well. And I think we have plenty to.
Well, we make a mistake if we trade Barron and Cooley. It would be the same thing like Sergachev.
Do not trade those guys, man. I agree with you, Pierre. Like, these guys are both top 4 defensemen.
They're going to be forever. So I don't touch exactly what Caulfield and Suzuki. You don't touch the 2 defensemen I just mentioned. That's the reason I said we don't have enough for number 2, and it's still a risk at the end of the day to go that way with number 2. You better to go with. I'm going to make a video about trade lower between 10 to 20 at that draft because it's not enough great hockey player at that for them. I think Montreal should go that direction. Try to get number 12, number 13, Watkins number 18, and go from there. And keep one of the 2, 26, 33. Trade one of the 2 and get the number 63, whatever they are, and try to go maybe 18. That. Now you can join Josh Anderson and for 13, 14, 15 with the number 26 or 33, patch together and go get that pick in NHL draft, you're going to have a lot of good players at that level. Like it's not a super elite, it's an elite players. That
So,
would
all
be
right,
my
so
point for that.
in 4 years, what is right?
70-point max as second center.
That's pretty
Second
good.
center?
Yep.
He might. Well,
That's as low. I think.
what is Suzuki right now?
He's
And he's
already
had a
there.
year to, right?
That's what he
But
is.
he's had 3 years. So if Wright can
But
do the
if you-
same thing, and he adds a defensive game, because Suzuki doesn't have that right now.
You don't have the two-way side.
Right. And so
And they were
that would,
right.
for me, that would supplant Suzuki as your first centerman.
Yeah, so I think that if you looked at both these guys at the same age, at 14, at 16, and at now 18, Wright is ahead of Suzuki in every category. So if Suzuki is a number 2 centerman in the NHL, I believe that you legitimately have a guy that'll be a 70 to 90 point guy at his top, but it's going to take him a while to get there. I think you're talking about a guy that'll struggle for a bit to get to that level. He might take 4 years to get to a 70-point level, like Pierre said, and you'll be pretty happy with it. Slavkovsky, the upside, it's really tough for me to project. Part of me, my brain says Zaka, and that concerns me because he has all the attributes of Zaka. He's got the size, he's got the shot, and we saw Zaka, he was doing what Slavkovsky's doing. Now, I do think from watching him, he looks a little quicker, but not much. Like Slavkovsky's got a legit shot from the dot. And that's what you're hoping. This guy jams the net and he scores from the dot and from the high slot. And that might be okay, but I don't know if that's a 30-goal guy. That might be a 20-goal guy.
Yeah, possible. Yeah, two
That's the-
upside down about that one there. Look,
We're
ask a
worried.
question for Michael. What do you think about KK? I don't know much about him.
I think he's falling where he should be. And I've said this all along. I know guys were talking about him in the top 6, and I was consistently saying he does not have the fine motor skills. He does not have the quickness in small areas. He's a big guy that could be a really good third-line center in the NHL, and maybe he flexes up. If you want to look for a comparison, you look at Jordan Stahl.
Great point. Two-way center, two-way players, and I think that's a good point. I think maybe not the number, the goal, but I think it's a pretty good third center over there, 6'4". That's a great comparison about this one there. Not skate like fast, but because his body protect the puck, play well on both ways, and he's going to get better with face off. It's a great number about this one over there. Francois said that none of you think Coley have a chance.
I do. I think he has a
No,
chance.
I think he's very
Honestly, Francois, Coley have maybe the highest ceiling of each one of them we just talked about earlier, Francois.
He's more
absolutely.
creative than either of those guys. And
But
he
the
has-
risk is higher with him also at the same time compared for both of the two other one.
he might not be able to play center. Like you
He'll
look at
be
him
more
and
like a winger.
right,
Yeah.
he could be. Maybe he's a center. Maybe he's Zegras. But if you look at Zegras at the same point in his career, when they were both 17, Zegras had the skating issue. He doesn't have the skating issue, but Zegras' hockey IQ was like next level. It was like if you compare Jack Hughes to him, he actually maybe had better hockey IQ. But Jack Hughes had the speed, right? So those guys were getting 115, 120 points with the U.S. development program playing in the USHL. And I don't think Cooley like 80 or 90 points? What did he get? Even that.
Yeah. About this
Maybe
one
about
over there. We have
70,
about 3 more
75.
minutes, so let's move on for the next one
75.
quickly before we jump on the quiz about this one over there.
Yeah, you're right.
Who do you think is going to resign with their team?
Who resigns?
Goudreau, Letang, or Forsberg with their team or not?
Well, right now, Letang apparently they're debate or they're disputing years. I think Pittsburgh's willing to offer him 3 years, and he wants 5. Money wise, they're probably there. They're very close, although Malkin isn't. Forsberg, I believe is
They got a hate year over
gonna
there.
be. It's gonna be
They
tough to
offered
get
him.
him.
But they
Yeah.
offered him 8 years. But did they? What was the annual? Was it 6 or 8? Like, what did they offer him? Do we know?
For
No,
who,
it was
Forsberg?
disclosure. I think the negotiation for Forsberg is pretty good. For the three name, I would tell you, Kudrow is the worst between three of them.
the word,
No
yeah.
words. And if you don't know if you're returning, because he needs to tell them if he's returning or not. And we are now, guys, June 28th. If you don't know yet, you want to come back over there, you have a problem there, Michael.
Is it July 1
Yeah.
still?
No,
I think
but
so. No.
the point is the 13th. But if you don't
Okay.
start the negotiate right now, and the 13th is the end of the negotiation, at least yeah, something's going on. Yeah, it's zero, flat, nothing, no words from any part, and they wait for Goudreau. He would tell them if he wants to stay or not.
I think Goudreau is going to stay.
Can they fit him in?
Oh yeah, I think those three guys are going to try to play together. I mean, I guess the question is, if you're Johnny Gaudreau, I don't see Philadelphia as being a viable option for you. Is he going to go to Buffalo? Like, I don't see that being an option. He can't fit in the Rangers. Where is he going to go? Like, what's the
It's a lot of
alternative?
money. Yeah.
Yeah,
The only
no
team
way.
that can potentially pull it off is Calgary. And it's because he's got Kachuk and he's got Sutter and he's got a great goalie and he's got great defense. Like, all the pieces are there.
question
How
for
much cap
Atlanta:
space do they
will
have left?
Palat still leave?
Sorry, what did he say?
I think he's. No, I was just wondering how much cap space Calgary still has left.
7.
It's tight, right? He would have to.
Because I'm just wondering financially if they can
So right-
accommodate it.
$26
Right.
million they have, but they have to sign 11 players.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's a
Mangiapane,
lot.
Kachuk are both restricted. So I think they'll take a little bit of a sacrifice. Goudreau is 28. So he's probably going to get, 9-10 mil. So if you
He's
take
going to
9
get,
out-
I wouldn't be surprised he get 8-8 or 8-9. 8-9.
so
Oh,
call,
really?
call it 9 mil.
The money
27,
for Calgary is not a problem. It's to, if he wants to still not, that's the problem. He didn't want to tell them. That's the biggest concern about this.
Yeah.
Let's move
Yeah,
on. We
that
are
is-
almost there. Will Palat still leave?
I think he
I think
stays.
he'll stay.
He don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
They're going to make another run at it.
Yeah.
Do we see team draft more players who can make offense happen from neutral zone, or player who can skate it into offensive zone to get the offense start? Do we see team draft more players who can make offense happen from neutral zone? No.
I'm not sure if there's a difference. I mean, I think in the end, everyone, they're looking at speed and they're looking at hockey IQ and skating or skill set. So
Yeah.
the higher, they're trying to focus a little less on size. It's a factor, and it's always the same four things.
Exactly. All right, let's go, guys. I know we don't have a lot of people in now, but we're going to go the Frenchy quiz. 5 questions on the show tonight. It's about the playoff. The 2 first question, it's not a great one, I'll be honest with you, because it's about the number, everything like that, the question you don't like usually. But after that, you're going to love it, because it's about the choice of the players. I'll give you memories, what happening in the chat and the playoff. Let's start with the first question of the night. Since 1984, there are 6 teams has a 6th time a team win back-to-back. But how many times a team of the same conference won the Stanley Cup following the back-to-back? So my question, example, with the same division we have at that moment. All right, so a team win following the back-to-back. How many times of them they are on the same conference? So all I don't know, the Pittsburgh. The following after that, is it the East Conference? That come for 1. So that's what the question is all about.
I would like to call a lawyer to understand this question.
since 1984. Said after the Islanders, yeah, 6 times. The Edmonton example, the Pittsburgh, the Detroit. Edmonton did twice. And how many times did you guys have a lot of chance? Nobody take answer right now. Oh, I apologize. I'm not at the wrong place. I'm at the wrong place right now. Wow.
That's why.
I'm so confused. So you're saying...
all right. So we have RJ said C. Jose Duarte said C. Blackhawk said B. We have John D said C. Steve G said C. Alan Barnett said C. TH said C. Luke and Nicolas said A. Pac Monkey said A.
I don't know.
So the question is,
Detroit?
after the back-to-back,
Edmonton?
Yeah.
Ron would get said B.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Inota.
I'm going to go with C, 3.
C3. All right. Francois Pitt said C. Michael Divino.
I have no idea. C?
C.
I don't even understand the question.
So I think it means if you won back-to-back,
Yeah.
then right after that, was that team from the same conference
Win the Stanley Cup.
that wins the next cup?
Oh. Got it.
Luc Laforcine said E.
I think.
That makes sense.
Now you got it, Mr. Inota. Congratulations.
Oh, all right.
Is it C?
All right.
See, go.
So, what is your letter, Michael?
I thought C, but I don't know. It took me an hour to
It could
figure
be
it out.
higher. Watch it be higher.
All right. So,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God! Gabriel Poupou is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Gabriel Poupou is back, and he got the one. He is the only one with Michael with
Oh
D,
my gosh.
with 4. Did you send Michael D?
No, see.
I said
C.
C.
So, Gabriel Poupou is the only one get it so far. Question number 1. Question number 2 is complicated. So,
Well,
Wait, this one's complicated?
since 1970, they are 52 Stanley Cup winner. How many times the East Conference team win the Stanley Cup with the division of this year? So Detroit win the Stanley Cup, count as the East Conference because they play right now on the East Conference. So the division who they are today, and how many times the East Conference win. I give you a choice, 21 times to 25, and the number of the year is 52. Here we go.
oh my gosh. No idea.
I don't even know.
How many times East Conference?
How many times the East
Win the
Conference
Stanley
win the
Cup.
Stanley Cup since 1970?
With the
Out of
2020
52 times?
Nicolas said A. RG said A. Jose Duarte said D. Steve G said A.
I didn't even think I... How would you
Puck Monkey said C. Kelly said A. Kelly said C. Apologize. Nicolas said A. DH said B. John Dieter said B. Ron Whitking said B. Blackhawk said B. Francois Pitt said D. Blackhawk said B.
That's 9.
And let's go with Michael DiVillano.
God, I don't know. C.
Which one?
C. Charlie,
C.
29.
And Luc Laportune said A. Pierre Martin said C. Gabriel go with E. And Mr. Enarta.
No idea.
Oh, I'm gonna go D.
D. And
idea.
which number is it, Mr. Enarta, on E?
36 to 38.
Yeah, but which one you think is the right number? That's my question.
So it's E,
Oh.
you're saying. Hey,
You're leading
I
me.
think
You're-
The answer is D.
Oh, okay.
35 time. And Jose Duarte and Francois Pitt is the only winner on this one. Join Gabriel Poupou. And they are right now The only winner after 2. Now it's going to be easier for you.
Wait, I got that one too, though, Coach.
I'm sorry again?
I said D.
You said D?
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
why I
you
was
said E.
confused when
No, you
you
said
asked
D.
me about E.
Oh,
He said D.
congratulations about this one, Mr. Natap. I apologize.
It's the only one I'm gonna get, so give me a break.
Here we go. Question number 3. Since 1994 playoff, which position, defense or goalies, have the most Connie Smythe Trophy winner? Since 1994, defense, goalie, or both of them have the same number?
God, how would you? Jeez. Who's won 94 with what? New York Rangers, right?
26, 28 years.
So is it 28 years?
Which?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a defenseman or a
Steve
goalie.
G said A.
Jeez, I don't know.
Ron with King said B.
What are the options again? It's like.
Ozzy said C.
Oh,
So
it's
we
just
have A, B, C right now at the beginning.
Have the most Conn Smythe trophies. It's
RG
defense,
said
goalie,
C.
both.
THB, Park the Monkey, A. François Pitt, A. Alan Barnes, B. Steve G. Serrois has 1. John Didier, he said A. Blackhawk said A. Gabriel Poubou said A. Pierre Martin said C. We're going to wait if anybody else. Luc Laforson,
So C
Kelly.
is like-
Let's go with Luc Laforson said B. And after,
Well, just the way you worded it, it can't be C. So I'm
which
gonna
position,
say,
defense or goalie, have the most Connie Smythe
Right.
Trophy winners since 1994?
yeah, so the way you worded it can't be both. So it's got to be, I'm going to go with B, goalie.
Which position, defense or goalies? I'm talking about the position. Have the most
Yeah,
Connie
goalie.
Smythe Trophy. It's not like
Goalies.
selection
Goalie.
like one. It's the position. So forward is not there.
Right, so goalie, B.
B goalies. Kelly said B. Michael De Villano.
I think it's the goalie. I think it's B. So I'm trying to think of like. You've had a lot of goalies win. Tim Thomas,
Yeah,
Vasilevsky, you had Patrick Waugh. I'm gonna say
Wow.
B.
yeah.
94 was the Rangers, so yeah, maybe it's B.
Sometimes you cannot go with the logic of the things.
Oh my God!
You have to set both
Both.
if you win that one over there.
Really?
Scott Steven, Lindstrom,
Duncan Keith,
Duncan Keith,
Cale McCarr. You know what? I think
Ken McCarr.
Oh, my. Okay.
6 of them.
I just thought the way you worded it couldn't be both. It just,
Here we go.
all right.
And Mr. RG and Pierre Martin scored that one over there. We still have 6
So we
people.
were half right.
Jose Duarde guy take the lead at 2, by the way.
Oh my God!
He's the only one, 2 and 3. Question number 4, easier. On this list, which one has the most short-ended goal in their career during the playoff NHL?
Oh my God.
Now, honestly, I would change this since 1955. So that's not changed a lot anyway. Guy Carbonneau, Ed Westphal, Mario Lemieux, Paul Coffey, or Wayne Presley.
Oh my God. If it's Wayne Presley, I'm gonna throw up. Did Carbonneau score on the?
RG said A. Luc Laforson. Steve G said A. Don't forget to click on the likes. Wait a minute. I have so many people. John D said C. Jose Duarde said B. Ron with King said A. A, B, C. Puck Monkey said E. Blackhawk said E. Wayne Presley. It's not Elvis Presley. François Pitt said
If it's
E.
Wayne Presley.
All right, Michael De Villano. DH said B. Luc Lafortune said
What?
D.
I don't know. Maybe it's B, Ed Westfall. I don't know.
That's your final answer?
You said 1950. Let's go with Ed Westfall.
19.
And Gabriel Poupou said A. Aklanga said B. Pierre Martin said Mario Lemieux. OMG, the return of Wayne Presley, François Pitt. Luc Lafortune said D. Kelly said A. And Mr. In our top,
Wayne, I'm going to throw up.
Gonna,
It's got to be Ed
yeah,
Westfall.
I'm going to go with Elvis Presley there. Wayne Presley.
Wayne Presley.
Oh my God!
B at Westfall. Michael Devenu get it. Jose Duarte have 3 good answers and 4. And Atlanta and TH just score 1 goal. For question number 4, we are the last of the night, ladies and gentlemen. And officially, Jose win tonight. But you can participate the last one. Since 2000 playoff season, which player on this list have the most power play goal? Since 2000, Malkin, Pavelski, Marleau, Marian Hossa, or Henrik Zetterberg. Most power play goal in the playoff season and since 2000.
Oh my God. So what are the choices? We've got Malkin, Pavelski, Marleau, Hossa, and Zetterberg. And a strictly power play.
Wayne Presley is alive, Pierre Martin said. Nicolas said C. François Pitt could not resist Wayne Presley, François said. Way to go, Jose, you the man. Jose Duarte said D. Hossa. Ron with King said B. Pavelski. Pat Monkey said B. Pavelski. Gabriel Poupou said C. Welcome back, Gabriel. Alan Barnes, welcome back, Mr. Alan. First and tonight, Zetterberg said E. Blackhawks said D. Hossa. He go with his Chicago Blackhawks. Pierre Martin said Malkin. John D. said Pavelski. And then we have Luc Lafortune B. François Pitt E. You had a better chance winning roulette que the Frenchy quiz. RG said A. TH said E. I think it's either Zetterberg or Malkin. And then Steve G said D. And Mr. Inartap.
I'm going to go with Malkin.
Inartap said Malkin. And Michael Devlano.
I'm going to go with Malkin.
Go with Malkin. And then Kelly go with B. Alexandre Weller, he said Malkin also. The winner of this one, you got pretty good on that one. It was Malkin, ladies and gentlemen. The winner of this one. Congratulations on Malkin. But whatsoever in our tap, RJ, Pierre Martin, and Michael Devillano, and Atlanta Weather, all of you guys have 2 good answers. Not good enough because the man of the night is Jose Duarte. He has 3 and 5 tonight. Is only 1. François Pitt and Gabriel Poupou and TH have 1 good answer. Congratulations, the winner tonight. And if your name are not mentioned, it's because you are 0 and 5, but we don't tell anybody. Don't worry about this. We are very quiet here about that one over there. That's conclude, guys. Another show of the Power Play show. Anything you want to say before we leave?
So I missed the conversation about Philadelphia. What was the take on 2 players, Travis Konechny and Bobby Brink?
Brinky didn't speak too much about the Konechny. It was more like the predominant theme was the fact that they had so many injuries and really it killed the team, which I would tend to agree with. I think that there's validity behind that, especially to key players, right? Like Couturier, Ellis, and
Ellis killed him.
But it seemed like it's a fresh start for Konechny. He wants to be there.
It's happened sometime for sure. We'll be back. Oh. Hey, wait a minute, guys. Oh, we are only 13 people. I forgot about this, guys. Oh, my God. Guys, don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. I'm going to put this on the chat. But I forgot to talk about this, guys. Tomorrow night, Michael DeVillano, you have to join us. 9 o'clock. We're going to start this at 9:30. We're going to do a simulation draft NHL live all together. So we need 32 people. Whatever we are, not 32 people, we can do it anyway.
Why don't we just do 2 teams each?
We cannot pay 2. At least you can come to, but you can use your phone and your computer.
I'll use 2 browsers.
I don't know. Don't use the Safari, by the way. It does not work. You have to use Chrome or Google. So the link is in the chat. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. You select your team. The first one show up. You have the first selection of your own team. If he's already picked, you have to get another team. We did, me and Mr. Nartap live today. It works. And it's going to be live on the the same time.
Right.
So it's pretty fun to do this. We have a good time, and I will bring this to you guys tomorrow. So if you like Blackhawks, you want Chicago, show up there. You get Chicago, and you select your players. And all the players are there anyway, so it's easier to follow up. You don't say, I don't know anybody. You can select one players over there. So 7 round, and we're going to do this tomorrow night. So that's the subject tomorrow night, the NHL draft simulation. So I can wait to see each one of you enjoy with us to do that tomorrow night. So
I'm going to get Montreal. I'm going to show up before you guys. I'm going to get Montreal. And then the first overall draft pick will be Ivan Miroshchenko, cancer and all. And it'll screw the Montreal Canadiens for the next 20 years.
But think about this, Michael. Your point of view is not bad. The problem, Montreal is not going to create some drama. I'm not sure we think we're going, because the Russian players, they don't want to create that kind of stuff like that. So I don't see Montreal pick him. But think about this. If you pick Shane Wright, and at 26, you pick him, Miroshchenko, as a winger, that's a really good pick over there, or both together.
I think what you should do is I'm going to redraft Logan Mailloux, but this time first overall.
Yeah. So Gabriel will be in Arizona. 10 right. It's going to be at 9 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to start this like at the beginning, like maybe 15 minutes after that. We're going to bring everybody there. So thank you so much, everybody, for your participation tonight in the chat. Don't forget to click on the likes. Both Insider tonight, we appreciate a lot. Before we leave, we invite everybody. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. Thank you so much, everybody, for your participation tonight. Before we leave, we want to remind you, of course, be well, be healthy. Find a way not only dominate your day, but find a way to donate what?
2023.
2022. Have an amazing, great night, everybody. Thank you so much for everything. We love you, people.
Good night, everyone.
Bonne nuit, Nicolas. TH, thank you so much. Gabriel, RJ, Dan, Luc Lafortune, Renaud, Pierre Martin, François Pitt, Atlanta Weather, TH, José Duarte, the winner, Gabriel Poupou, Kelly, Blackhawks. Thank you so much, everybody. Bonne nuit, mon Gabriel. Pierre Martin. Luc Lafortune. Sticker toujours, mon lip.
What's going on now? Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I say so? We're just putting on a show. What's going on now? Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I let go? I do really want to know. What's going on now? Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I say so? We're just putting on a show.
Booyah!